Another condition from Biden is that he wants microphones that automatically cut off when a candidate hits their time limit. Yep, microphones that automatically cut off. Biden got the idea after his last press conference when his staff was like, we need a microphone that automatically cuts off.
But they're starting to make fun of Joe Biden. They know that Joe Biden has to go. They know that Joe Biden can't be president for another 4 years. Even their propaganda apparatus is falling apart on them. They won't stray too far, though. To be sure. Well. Happy Thursday to you and welcome back. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. Just going through a couple of college professors, UC Irvine and UC Davis. I think it would be fair to say that they're crazy as hell. By any normal standard, remember normal. We do have our Remember Normal t-shirts and our Remember Normal coffee mugs, among many other fine products at the Chris Plant store online. Great gifts. Summertime is nearly upon us. Good for good stuff to give to libs, too. Yes, but we just played this lunatic professor from UC Irvine who was being arrested by the police, screaming at the top of her lungs like a completely insane person because that's what they do.
Thousands of students could have been able to go to school and have books and have housing. But instead, our chancellor, who is a very cruel man, decided to send thousands of dollars worth of state funding paid for by the taxpayers into the
thousands in state funding. And it's because it's very bad. That's Tiffany Willoughby Herard, the professor of political science. And she got her PhD at the University of California at Santa Barbara. I don't think she's doing very well. She specializes in South Africa, poor whites, race in foreign policy, and other valuable things like that. And then at UC Davis, another professor with a PhD from Yale, a master's from Georgetown, a bachelor's from Harvard. Her name is Sita Chigante. And when a young woman came up to their protest and said, kind of out of the blue, that transgender women or transgender people will regret their decision to become transgender. At that point, the Harvard and Yale educated and Georgetown professor at UC Davis, Sita Chigante, told her to put a gun in her mouth, you piece of beep.
Put a gun in your mouth, you piece of
And as this is higher education in the United States of America, this is because the left has taken over. The left has taken over academia, and the left has taken over the media. The media. Speaking of which, yesterday we learned while we were on the air that President Trump has agreed to participate in 2 debates. He's requesting a total of 4 debates because he would like to see a Fox News hosted debate, and I think he should call for a Newsmax hosted debate. Republicans also should demand that the debates be hosted by the Heritage Foundation or something, and not CNN and, these Democrat Party organs. And when I say organs, I think you know what I mean. Let's go to because this is so ridiculous for so many different reasons. Now, President Trump, you may recall, President Trump for months now has been demanding that Joe Biden agree to debate him. And President Trump has been saying anywhere, anytime, any place, right? And or something like that. And even though it's somewhat repetitive. But President Trump has been calling again and again for debates.
Let's set it up right now. I'm ready to go anywhere that you are. Anytime, anywhere, any place. Let's go, Joe. Let's debate.
This was President Trump about a month ago calling for a debate, and the Biden people were blowing him off because they know that Joe Biden's not up to debating. And then yesterday, while we were on the air yesterday, we learned from CNN, not from the campaigns, but from CNN, we learned, CNN is announcing that there's a debate scheduled for June 27th because CNN coordinated it with the Biden White House and the Democrat Party. because CNN is a part of the Democrat Party, an engorged appendage of the Democrat Party. And they announced that Jake Tapper, a former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer, will be one of the hosts, and Dana Bash, whose ex-husband was an Obama administration official and is still a Democrat Party apparatchik. And he's one of the criminals that signed on to that 51, the felonious 51, that lied to the American people, ran an information operation against the American people, falsely claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop and the reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop by the New York Post had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation because they're liars. And Dana Bash's ex-husband, Jeremy Bash, a lion Sacagawea. And so you got the Democrat Party in bed all over the place with CNN and Jake Tapper, a Democrat staffer who worked for Congresswoman Mezvinsky from Pennsylvania, whose son married Chelsea Clinton. Got to keep all this in mind, all the Democrat Party connections. Dana Bash's ex-husband, an Obama administration official. And then ABC will also moderate, that's the wrong word, host a debate on September 10th. Interesting times. President Trump and his people now saying we want 4 debates. We want Fox News to host one of them. They should call for Newsmax to host one of them. Now let's go to ABC Fake News, because here is our great friends at Newsbusters Media Research Center, and Brent Bozell, my great friends at Media Research Center and at Newsbusters. 2024 presidential debate host, ABC News, falsely casts Biden as issuing debate challenge. Now, I just played Donald Trump, and that was just one soundbite from over a month ago. He again and again and again challenged Biden to a debate, anytime, anywhere. And the Biden White House demurred, they punted, they kicked the can, they said no, they said, we don't feel any need to do that, right? And they attacked Donald Trump, naturally. Now, Media Research Center reporting today, Jorge Bonilla at MRC reporting, the regime media kicked off their respective evening newscasts by hyping the upcoming presidential debates, which were just agreed to by President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. But ABC News, aggressively Biden servile and an announced debate host, chose to disinform the public by insisting on casting Biden as the one who challenged Trump to a debate when the record reflects the exact opposite. Very good job, very correct, Jorge Bonilla. Watch as ABC News Tonight anchor David Muir, who will co-moderate the September 10th debate with Lindsey Davis, falsely depicts Biden as the aggressor before throwing over to Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce, never heard of her, who promptly does the same thing. Now let me play the audio for you from ABC Fake News last night and the Disney pixie, David Muir.
Early today, President Biden issuing the challenge. Trump, who refused to debate his primary opponents, saying yes. And within hours, 2 debates were set, one in June, the other in September, right here on ABC.
They just misled their dwindling number of viewers, and this is why their number of viewers continues to dwindle, because they lie all the time. And it's not just David Muir, it's the executive producer, the 3 senior producers, the 6 other producers, the people that are writing the copy, who know that as they are presenting the news, it is false. That is not the sequence of events. That is not the timeline on the way this rolled out. And of course, because they need to continue the lie and the pretense that it's legitimate, they go to this, I assume it's a woman, Mary Bruce, but it could be a man, hard to say, at ABC News with the White House behind her or him or them to perpetuate, to continue the lie.
This morning, Biden with this surprise challenge.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice.
Biden then taunting Trump, referencing the 1 day a week that he's not tied up in court.
So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Because the Democrat Party is abusing power in New York, abusing power in Georgia, abusing power in Florida, abusing power in Washington, D.C., to lynch the political enemies of the Democrat Party, to keep their political enemy off of the campaign trail, so Joe Biden can do an absolute bare minimum. An absolute disgrace to journalism, a disgrace to Western civilization. Extraordinary. By the way, the fraudsters at the Washington Post today, because they were shamed into it, it became too absurd and they couldn't hold anymore. Joe Biden once again claimed that when he took office, inflation was at 9%. In reality, when he took office, Inauguration Day 2021, inflation was at 1.4%, having just gone up from 1.2%. Joe Biden drove it up to 9.1%. And Joe Biden keeps saying again and again that he inherited an inflation rate of 9%. And even the Washington Stinking Post and Glenn Stinking Kessler were shamed today into confessing that that is a completely false claim. And even the Washington Fake Post gave him 4 Pinocchios for his great big lie. 4, that's the maximum number, other than bottomless Pinocchios, which they have also given Joe Biden in the past, but not nearly frequently enough. So he got 4 Pinocchios from the Washington Post for his big lie about the inflation rate. Now, that is pretty amazing stuff. So they say, oh, yeah, Joe Biden challenged Trump to a debate. And it's going to be real legitimate because we've got Democrat Party operatives at CNN, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, that will be moderating. And then we'll go to ABC and we'll have more Democrats pretending to moderate. And all the terms of the debate were laid down by the Biden White House, and the news media picked them up, and they will champion them from now until the Armageddon. NBC fake news had Peter Alexander report on what happened yesterday, and they provide a very different version. And I've got to say, Peter Alexander gets a little pat on the head, a little attaboy. You get a lollipop because you didn't lie as shamelessly as David Muir and this dim-witted woman, Mary Bruce.
President Biden's decision comes after former President Trump repeatedly challenged him to debate.
You can see we have an empty podium right here to my right. You know what that is? That's for Joe Biden. I'm trying to get him to debate.
The June 27th face-off with no audience will come at a critical moment in the race.
Just about, good for him. I mean, again, how shameless are you is really the only question, isn't it? Extraordinary stuff. Back in February, Joe Biden asked Donald Trump Joe Biden was asked about Donald Trump saying, hey, when are you going to have a debate? So, I mean, this further proves that ABC News is just a gang of lying sacks of Julia.
Donald Trump is ready to debate you right now. Do you accept?
He just said that on radio. What they debate you immediately.
Immediately?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Will you debate him?
If I were him, I'd want to debate me too. You got nothing else to do.
Yeah, he's running several multi-billion-dollar corporations and, flying around in his private 757. Did you see Joe Biden yesterday say he's going to take his plane to the debates, meaning our plane, Air Force One? In the meantime, Donald Trump will be taking his plane, and that is a Boeing airliner, a 757, as his private plane, but pay no attention to that. Remarkable times we're in. Thank God you come here to get the truth, not be lied to, and also be entertained at the same time. You know that the best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier uses Oxy technology, and Oxy technology helps to quickly destroy many viruses, odors, mold, and so much more in the air, in your home, in your office. With thousands of 5-star reviews online, you know that it works like a champ. We've got 2 of them in our home. Any smell will vanish after just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Odors from trash cans, cigarette smoke, college protesters, and professors, too. No match for the Eden Pure thunderstorm. The powerful thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules that seek out and help destroy odors. These molecules even go behind and under furniture. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. And best of all, no filters to buy and replace again and again. It's a self-contained unit. You can hold one in your hand. They're only this big. So start enjoying your home again, the air in your home. Get several thunderstorms because right now you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection. You get 3 units for under $200. Put one in your basement, your bedroom, your teenager's room. Give one to your uncle. He needs it. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3 to save $200. That's EdenPureDeals.com, and the discount code is CHRIS, the number 3. Yes, sir. Yeah, I've got more. President Trump challenged him to a debate again and again and again and again for months. And then Biden says, okay, we'll debate as long as our allies control it. I lay down all the conditions, no audience because audiences frighten Joe Biden. He doesn't see them very often. And Trump thrives on them, so do away with that. So they're stacking the deck all over the place with Democrat apparatchiks and favoring Biden all over the place. And then on ABC News, David Muir and Mary Bruce come out and lie to everybody about it. But the Media Research Center and Newsbusters, they caught him. And now you know about it too. Got an update on the war in Ukraine and the mayhem there. We just keep throwing billions and billions at them. I got to tell you, the headline today, and I'm coming back to your calls and to the debates because there's a lot to talk about there. It's very crooked. But Blinken just, $2 billion more for he was there playing guitar badly? Another $2 billion. Didn't we just give him $61 billion? Then we gave him another $1 billion. Now we're giving another $2 billion. And the headline today is Ukraine says it has no reserves. No reserves. As Putin amasses 500,000 troops for a summer offensive. Sure, more than 500,000 dead Russians, hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians. Our Secretary of State is playing guitar. Keep on rocking in the free world. While hundreds of thousands die, and not a single college campus is calling for a ceasefire. Not a single college professor is having a meltdown. And we are back and going to get to the mailbag in this block as well before the top of the hour. Right now, however, let's go to the telephones where great Americans have been patiently waiting. Let's go to Matt calling from Rockville, Maryland. Matthew, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good American Thursday morning, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Matt. What do you say? What do you know?
So, in 2018, Hillary Clinton had 85-90% chance, according to the New York Times, chance of winning the presidential election. They also went through the commission or the committee for presidential debates, and she was of sound mind. And all of that, Donna Brazile still got the questions and fed to her. So knowing now that Joe Biden is behind in a bunch of swing states, they're avoiding the committee for presidential debates, and his brain doesn't work, is there any doubt in your mind that they're not only going to feed him the questions, but they're also going to have an earphone in him giving him the answers?
That is all very good thinking. You are a well-informed consumer of news and politics and a qualified voter, I think. You're right about Donna Brazile, who was the DNC chair, who was a former DNC chair that was hired by CNN to be one of their political voices. And you're right that she got the questions for the debate when CNN was hosting ahead of time and fed them to Hillary Clinton and the Hillary Clinton campaign ahead of the presidential debate. People should go to prison for that stuff, but instead they get $1 million jobs for that stuff because the Democrat Party is that corrupt. And our political system is so broken. But Brazile leaking Town hall topics to Clinton campaign. Donna Brazile passing the topics to Clinton, and she was unapologetic, and CNN did nothing about it, and it was really something to see, honestly, because Donna Brazile, here's the Washington Post. Donna Brazile is totally not sorry for leaking CNN debate questions to Hillary Clinton. That's the left-wingers at the Washington Post. And they loved it. You know, they thought it was great. In 2016, November 7th, Donna Brazile, lifelong Democrat, former DNC chair, fed the questions to the Clinton campaign, so they had them ahead of time. And that is what we call cheating, isn't it, Matt?
Yes, sir. Oh, Chris, I got a quick, actually really funny story for you about David Trone, if you don't mind. It's a quick
David Trone, who spent more than $60 million of his own money in Maryland to lose a primary for the Senate. He's the owner of Total Loser Wine, I think, right? Yeah, please go ahead with your David Trone story. You bet.
Yeah, so David Trone, when he was running for Congress, said that he was against voter ID. Now, Chris, admittedly, I hate to say it, I do shop there. And we had a liquor pickup, so we went and I parked and I hit check in on the app or whatever. They came out and they asked to see my ID to get the alcohol. And it was really weird. I called his I think his campaign staff at the time and asked how he felt about that, and they said, "Oh, we'll get back to you on that." My ass. I mean, that's ridiculous. So you can vote without an ID, yet I can't pick up liquor without an ID.
Well, that'd be illegal. You know, that is a 21-year-old age limit for alcohol. But for voting, you know, you're anti-democratic. You're destroying our democracy. Of course, everybody, South Africa requires voter ID. Canada and France and Brazil and Mexico require voter ID. But the left in this country is so corrupt. How corrupt are they? That no voter ID. Look, you got to have an ID to get on an airplane. You got to have an ID to. Homeless people living under bridges have photo IDs, and they have iPhones around here. Some of them have Zelle accounts too, so you can send them money electronically. We live in a ridiculous time, but you're 100% right. And the David Trone story. I mean, he won. He's a 3-term House member the House of Representatives from Maryland. And he decided multi-millionaire from selling wine. And I don't know if they sell liquor also. I don't think I've ever been to a Total Wine. But he broke all records buying his seat in the House of Representatives. I think more than $40 million, just off the top of my head. Then he spent more than $60 million of his own. So he spent $100 million to get a job that pays about $180,000 a year. It's going to take about 100 years to just recoup the money that he spent to get his $180,000 a year job. Pretty amazing stuff, huh, Matt? What a knucklehead. What a goof.
Well, I think he's going to go in there having made a lot of money, and I think he's probably under the wing of Nancy Pelosi and probably some good stock trading tips, and that's why who wouldn't be willing to get information before the American public does and then trade on that.
Yeah, and that's all perfectly legal. It's all perfectly fine because, he who makes the rules, right? And Pelosi and her husband, Paul, who did get hit in the head with a hammer by that nutcase in his $20 million house, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars because, they do get a lot of good stock tips. Nobody knows quite where they get them from, right, Matt?
No, not at all. Chris, I have an idea for the Chris Plant store.
Uh-huh.
Have a coffee mug or a T-shirt of Paul Pelosi, and on one side say, "Get hammered," and it's him with his car being wrecked. And on the other side, it's of the crazy illegal immigrant who attacked him with a hammer.
I kind of like that. I think that's sort of fun, getting hammered with Paul Pelosi. That's
entendre.
That's fun. It is a little bit of a double entendre. That's great. That's French, which is fun. That's great. Matt, thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Have a great Rockville, Maryland day. That's wonderful. Great stuff. And, it's true. The Biden White House this time around is rejecting the Commission for Presidential Debates. They're rejecting that. Now, the Presidential Debates Commission, they had already lined up. They got their, because they're an organization, and Biden said, well, we're not going to debate, we're not going to debate, we're not going to debate. Trump is saying, debate anytime, anywhere. And the news media says, oh, look, Trump finally agreed to debate Joe Biden. Joe Biden's so brave because our news media is the most corrupt institution in America. David Muir is corrupt. Their White House correspondent. Mary Bruce is corrupt. CNN's management is corrupt. Donna Brazile is corrupt. Donna Brazile handing over the questions to the Clinton campaign before the CNN-hosted debate. They have big meetings and big boardrooms, put together their questions and who's going to add in the sequencing and massaging the language they use. And then it gets handed over to the Democrats because they cheat all the time and steal. It's amazing. But the Commission on Presidential Debates, they had scheduled debates for Texas and Virginia and Utah. They were going to take place on college campuses because that's neutral territory, allegedly. And you can have audiences and their big facilities, amphitheaters and things like that. But no. Because Joe Biden said, no, we'll do it with CNN and our friends, Democrats, known Democrats, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, and we'll do it at CNN's place, and there will be no audience, and suddenly they're dictating all the terms. As President Trump, anytime, anywhere language maybe should have been refined a little bit. Just saying. All right, now mailbag at long last, mailbag, which we were supposed to get to yesterday, but too much news because of the debates and everything breaking while we were on the air. Now, Louis P. says, my name is Louis P. and I live in Evergreen Park by Chicago. I'm wondering if, how much of Chicago will be burned and damaged during the Democratic convention? Louis, that is a question that a lot of people are wondering. And I think everybody agrees the answer is a lot of Chicago will be burned and damaged and probably looted. And they're planning. We played the audio a while back of the meeting at the Teamsters headquarters in Chicago with left-wing groups who got together, and the radicals, Democrat commies at the Teamsters, the leadership of the Teamsters, corrupt Democrats, raking in millions and millions a month from their members and then forking it over to the Democrats because they're buying their way to political power. And it doesn't serve the interests of the rank and file members of the Teamsters, who are great. But they had this meeting and a bunch of commies gathered there. And the meeting was a bunch of different group leaders at the Teamsters headquarters in Chicago, talking about how they were going to disrupt, or how they are going to disrupt, the Democratic convention in Chicago this summer. And they were learning new chants in the Persian language, Farsi, death to Israel, death to Israel. And this is one of the chants they're learning to prove that they're commie, leftist, anti-American, racist, anti-Semites.
So you're going to say, Mard Bar. Mard Bar. Mard Bar Israel. 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 Thank you.
They're clapping and say, look, they can't wait to join and be a part of something big like the Nazi Party. And then, hey, somebody says, what about it? And he explained that means death to Israel, death to Israel. And then somebody says, hey, wait a minute. In Farsi, in the language of Iran, Persian. And then one of the participants says, well, let's learn Marg Bar America. How do we chant death to America?
So, it has two meanings, depending on who's asking. It can mean death to or down with. So, we can get a Marg Bar America. Yes, we can. Marg Bar America! Marg Bar America! Marg Bar America!
So this is the left organizing death to America, death to Israel. They're organizing for the Chicago events there. And then Congressman Dean Phillips was on the Fox News channel with Brett Baer the other night. And he's desperately hoping that they'll just cancel, he's a member of the House of Representatives, cancel the Democratic convention altogether because it's too dangerous, it's too risky.
This is looking awfully like 1968, with a lot of anger and angst and disenfranchisement that I think are going to play out on TV this summer, and it's going to be awfully contentious. So there's time to course correct.
Was in Chicago, the Democratic convention. You think it could look a little like that?
I think it can, and frankly, I think it would be in the best interest of the Democratic Party to forego the convention this year and focus on campaigning, because I don't see any way it can be accretive to the mission of winning the next election.
The best interest to winning the next election is all that matters, because they're commie power drunk lunatics and amazing. They created the monster. They created the mob that is in the streets. They created them going back to Occupy Wall Street. They created Black Lives Matter. Thousands of police officers injured, billions in property damage. The Democrat Party is a violent criminal mob of anti-Semitic, anti-American, anti-capitalist lunatics. They organized it, and now, boy, it'd be the best interest if we just didn't do that. Yeah. So my answer, Lewis, is a lot of Chicago will be wrecked. And if they cancel the convention, they should just, coronate Joe Biden, then cancel the election. And then, you can just stay there and nothing will change. Teresa in Largo, Florida asks, "Hi, Chris. What do you think about the Republicans finally standing up for President Trump in this non-trial? I think it's about time. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. A lot of Republicans showing up, governors, House members, Senate members, outside the courthouse to show their support for President Trump, and doing a little bit of what I've been suggesting for a long time, and that is saying the things about the judge and the jury and the corruption there that President Trump is prevented from saying because of the gag order. And I think we need that every day. Today, there are a bunch of members of Congress showing up there, including Jason Biggs and Congressman Crane from Arizona and Matt Gaetz from Florida. A bunch of Republican members of Congress showing up at the courthouse today to support him. And they should be doing everything they can to make it look like they're violating the gag order. And I still want the Trump impersonator to show up and read a script that violates everything in the gag order for the cameras there. I think that'd be great. So, Teresa, wonderful. We need more of it. Earl Kaiser in Glen Rock, Pennsylvania says, "Good evening, Chris. What was one of the best moments you ever had with Ronald Reagan, with President Ronald Reagan?" What a great question. Also, have you ever had any interactions with Hillary Clinton? Well, we dated briefly, but I was 13 years old. I kid. No, I have met Hillary Clinton, but in Martha's Vineyard, and didn't have much of a talk with her because she seemed mean and nasty. Didn't talk to her much at all. Her husband was there to talk to him. But with Ronald Reagan, so many great moments on the Reagan Ranch and at the White House and at parties in California and Santa Barbara and elsewhere. Met Ronald Reagan many times. And one of the best was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in 1987 when I had just moved to Washington, D.C. And I was invited to a pre-party with President Reagan. And I was having a beer. I had a beer in my hand, a bottle of beer. And the photographer came around, and I was talking to President Reagan. And photographer said, "Okay, picture." And I said, and I looked at the photographer, and somebody there said, "Get rid of your beer, get rid of your beer," and reached in to pull my beer bottle out of my hand. And I pulled back, and I said, "My beer." And President Reagan put his fingertips on my wrist and moved my hand with the beer in it, kind of to go next to him or behind him. And President Reagan said, I was in Hollywood for a long time, and all those pictures at the Brown Derby and elsewhere with all the movie stars standing there, we've all got our arms around each other. It's not because we liked each other so much. It's because we were hiding our drinks, he said. And I hid my beer behind President Reagan. We were in tuxedos and stuff, and the picture was taken, and great Ronald Reagan moment. A great Ronald Reagan moment, gotta say. Yes, sir. It's a good trick, and still, and it was very fun. And the other people who were like, "Hide your beer, get rid of your beer." I was like, "No," I pulled my beer back, and Reagan just very relaxed, very casual, and moved my hand around him, and he was smiling, and it was a great Ronald Reagan moment. One of many, because I could go on about that for some time. Hey, here's a sobering headline. New estimates report that more than 1 million babies were killed by abortion in the United States in 2023. That is the greatest number of abortions since 2012, more than a decade. But I thought Roe v. Wade was repealed and it was going to lead to, but they lie about everything. We have to fight back against this evil movement. When they shout abortion, we shout life. And how exactly do we do that? Well, we join hands with Preborn. Preborn is one of the largest organizations in the country that sponsors ultrasounds for clinics in the highest abortion areas in the United States. When a mother considering abortion sees her baby in an ultrasound, sees and hears the heartbeat, it could double the baby's chance of living a long, happy, prosperous life. And every day, Preborn helps to rescue 200 unborn babies' lives, which is truly miraculous. By the time I finish reading this ad, though, 2 more unborn babies will have been taken by abortion. But $28 could be the difference between life and death, quite literally. Please join the fight by sponsoring one ultrasound, or 2 or 3. Or if you have the wherewithal, sponsor 200 ultrasounds. Honestly, the gifts are tax deductible. It's a wonderful organization. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250 on your phone, on your cell phone, and when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's dial pound 250, and the keyword is baby. Or visit preborn.com/plant online. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. Great mailbag questions, as always. Fun Ronald Reagan crowd. I could go on for hours about Ronald Reagan, but that was it's a fun story that I often remember, particularly when I see pictures and I know I'm hiding a beer. Well, something just happened here that's surprising. The Dow Jones just crossed 40,000 for the first time in the history of the world. The Dow Jones Industrials on Wall Street broke past the 40,000 threshold Thursday morning for the first time ever. That's kind of a big deal. Now, the Democrats are going to come out and take credit for it, but they'll be lying again.